Then we'll do the rock and roll look. Well, it's the beginning, really. The word already says it, the source. It's about the source of mankind. It's about the source of the Forever Race. And it's a prequel to the whole big Ayreon story. I mean, this Ayreon story basically started on the first album, The Final Experiment. And back then, I didn't know there was going to be an Ayreon Universe. I thought it would be just one album. I thought everyone would hate it. But then, then I did the Electric Castle, which has references to the first album. And then I got the Universal Migrator, which had reference to all the albums. And somehow this whole Ayreon Universe came into being. And then when I reached 01011001, then the story got really complicated, and I couldn't follow it myself anymore. I had to ask the fans, like, there was this guy on Mars, in this. Do you remember that? Then I decided to stop the story. And then I did the Theory of Everything, which was a different story. But for this album, I saw the front cover. I saw the lady underwater with all the tubes and stuff, and I saw like a human being trying to live underwater, and suddenly I had the idea: what if this woman is forever, and what if the Forever Race? Because I never showed them really. What if they were once human? And that's what triggered the whole story. Well, it's like all my albums, it's about the dependence on technology. And it starts on Planet Alpha, and the computer, the mainframe, it's called the frame, is taking control of everything. And the president tells the frame, like, it's going wrong on this planet. There's the greenhouse effect, there's pollution. How can we solve the problem? And the frame is like, well, it's easy. The problem is mankind, So it shuts down all the life support systems. People are slowly dying out, and the only way that they can survive, or at least preserve their race, is to go to another planet. The quantum plants, they won't be cooled anymore, so they will overheat and explode, and it will be the end of Planet Alpha. So yeah, in short, that's the beginning of the story. I never plan. I do plan, and I never stick to the plan. This was going to be a solo album. And then, it got a bit heavy, and I thought, oh no, it's not a solo album because I can't sing heavy. And then I thought maybe a Star One album then, with Russell and Floor. And then it was like, no, it's not a Star One album because now I've got all these folky parts. And then suddenly it became an Ayreon album. So no, I never plan anything. I just start and I let the music come to me. Once I have the music, I start thinking, what project is it? Then I start thinking about the story, what story fits the music. It really wasn't planned. It was really seeing the front cover that reminded me of the Forever story, and that got me back there. Yeah, because it was pretty heavy, and it was a reaction to the previous albums. Like I always say, each album I make is a reaction to the previous album, and the previous Ayreon album was Theory of Everything, and it was very much a prog album. It had members of Yes, Genesis, King Crimson, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It was very keyboard oriented with Jordan Rudess and stuff, and so I wanted to make a guitar oriented album, which automatically results in being a bit more heavy. And also the album directly before this was the Gentle Storm album, which was a very folky album, and it was a very feminine album, of course, with Anneke. And it was a love story, which was something new for me, which was a challenge for me. So I really, after Gentle Storm, I felt like, let's do something a bit more ballsy, and let's go back to sci-fi, because that's where my heart is. Yeah, I never know what inspires mean. Inspire can mean two things. Like you see a movie and you want to steal the idea. That's one kind of inspiring. And the other kind of inspiring is wanting to be creative. I think that's the real inspiration. And that, for me, that doesn't really come from movies or It comes from a thing as simple as a email from a fan, telling me like I was really depressed, and I didn't want to live anymore, and then I heard your music, and it gave me a sense to go on, and that's that's what inspires me. That's if I read something like that, it's like, whoa, it has that effect on people and create something new, so that's really where inspiration comes from. The weird thing is, it's the other way around. It's like I said, I start with the music, then I let the music inspire me to come up with the story. Then I have a wish list of like 100 singers, even more. Really, if you, it's a huge list. And then I choose the singers that I think fit the story and fit the concept. Then I contact them, and they can't all do it, So I contact about 20 of them, and in this case, 11 of them said, "Yeah, sure, we'll do it." Then I divide them over the album. Like I want to divide them equally. And then the last step is to write lyrics and come up with the characters. And I actually base the characters on the singers. So it's not I have a character and I need a singer for that, because that limits me, I want to have the singer and then base the character. Tobias, Tobias is this cocky, funny guy, who wants everything his way. He's an alpha male. Okay, Tobias is the captain. And I write the lyrics on him, Guys, you guys should have listened to me, because I've always told you. That's Tobias. And I'm totally fucked if at the last moment a singer cancels, It's like, oh my God, I wrote this whole part on your voice, and on your. Now I have to find someone who fits that role, and that's shitty, and it happens every time. But I always figure it out somehow. So what I did now was, because I had great keyboard players on the last one, I wanted the best guitar players on this time. So I first look at the guitar players. I look who can I get, and I make a list of like 10 guitar players I want to, and I aim high, I aim like Yngwie Malmsteen and Richie Blackmore and David Gilmour, and of course it's hard to get these guys. But then suddenly, number 4, Paul Gilbert, says, "Yeah, sure." It's like, holy shit! Like, who is the best guitar player right now in the world? And I'm like, well, that's Guthrie Govan, Could I get him? And to my surprise, it's like, well, send me the music and I'll see if you're inspired. And then once these guys say yes, I find the perfect part for them on the album. So again, it's not like I have this part, who should I put on it? No, it's I have a guitar player, where shall I put him? So they should be totally free to do whatever they want, That's solo is such a personal thing. I don't even tell them anything. I just sent the part to them, and this is it. And I asked them because they're the best. So why should I tell them what to do? It's not necessary. If I get something that I thought they could do better, then I tell them. Yeah, it's painful to tell someone, hey, you can do better or this and that. But it actually happened with Marcel Koenen on this one. Hey man, I think you're the best guitar player here in Holland, and I think you can do better. And he was like, what? We went to the studio and we worked on this solo together, and now it's like one of the best solos I've ever heard. And he is like, oh, thanks for pushing me. And so yeah, it can work. It can also go horribly wrong. When I tell someone I don't like it, can you change it? They say, no, forget it, don't use it. Yeah, it happened to me. Everything. I had the biggest prog singer from the prog singer ever on my album. And I just had to tell him, yeah, it's okay, but it has to be something different. And he was not used to that. Of solos and stuff, they all do it in their own studio. Vocalist, usually I always fly them to my studio. There's always chemistry and there's always magic happening if you're together. But unfortunately, this time it's the first time that a lot of guys did it on their own. I said unfortunately, but they did a great job. They're the best. So. Well, the thing is, I love so many styles of music. When I grew up, I listened to the Beatles, and then I discovered Pink Floyd, but also Simon and Garfunkel, and also Leonard Cohen, Tangerine Dream, and it's so extremely varied. When I was in bands in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was all hard rock. Especially the 80s was like narrow-minded. You had to play hard rock. There were no keyboards, were not allowed in hard rock because then you were a sissy. And when that was over in the 90s, let's put all my styles on one album, and people will probably hate it. They did, because I made the Final Experiment, the first Ayreon album, in 1994. 30 record companies turned me down, and it was the times of Smells Like Teen Spirit, and that's why there are so many layers in my music and all the different emotions I want to portray in the, you're telling a story. So it's great to have like different singers, for each style and different atmospheres and different moods. I love contrasts. I've always loved that. Also, if you hear like a song like "Everybody Dies," it's "Everybody Dies," not a happy lyric, but the song is like "Everybody Dies," and I love that contrast. I did it before on my solo album. There was a song called "Doctor Slumbers Eternity Home," and it's like, oh, cool song. What it's about? It's about a euthanasia center, and I think it makes it even more scary. Or something funny like in Monty Python, nailed to the cross, and he's doing "Always Look on the Bright." The catalyst for that was the theater equation. I wasn't really involved in that. I just picked the singers, and I was present there, of course, and I helped with a lot of stuff. But I was there and in on stage and looking into the audience and seeing the reactions of people, people smiling and people crying, and it was like, damn it, we gotta do an Ayreon best of. Got together with Joost van den Broek, with whom I'm doing this whole thing, and we said it's gonna be big, and we said, okay, let's put 2 years and let's start working on it now. Let's see who we can get. Let's see if we can arrange a venue. Let's see, let's work it out, and we did. We see it as a once in a lifetime experience. If I enjoy it and everyone enjoys it and it's a cool thing, we might do it again. So I don't want to say it's just once. I'm a recluse. I just want to be at home and be creative in my studio. And in the evening, I want to be with my girlfriend and my doggy watching TV or whatever. That's my life. I'm terrible stage fright and stuff. And luckily, I'm not part of the band. I will just make an appearance. But still, I'm already having trouble sleeping now. So. Well, I hate breaks. I'm doing a lot of promotion now. These 3 months are like completely filled with interviews and European promotion tours until the release. And then, of course, in the meantime, I'm working all the Ayreon Universe, and we started rehearsing. And there's a lot to arrange for that. All the visuals and all the special effects and follow spots and lights and sound and all that stuff. Once the shows are over, we're gonna film it, and the stuff has to be edited. The sound has to be mixed. I think my next year is pretty much filled, and I hope in the meantime I'll get some ideas for something new. If I would have to say what are you planning, then it's like this was a pretty big, epic, heavy album, so I would like to do something small and atmospheric. Robert Plant, David Gilmour. It has to be live ones. I can't say Dio, I can't say John Lennon. Geddy Lee. Yeah, Richie Blackmore, Brian May, Steve Vai, guitar player wise. Keyboard players, I've worked with them all, I think, My biggest dreams have come true. Rick Wakeman, Keith Emerson, Jordan Rudess.